Welcome everyone to the third Tuesday of the month Living Mastery Call. This is Cindy, and I am beyond excited because we are our facilitators tonight are Oliver and Yolanda Blue, and I'm not even going to pray us in today. I am going to turn everything over to my friends and let them lead us from beginning to the end. How you guys doing?
We're great.
We're doing wonderful. How's everybody?
Woohoo!
Oh, that's right. They're muted.
Oh, that's right. The fingers.
Okay.
All right.
Well, can y'all excuse me for one moment? I want to speak to my wife.
Oh,
Hello, Yolanda. How are you?
hi, darling. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm so wonderful. I'm so wonderful. So glad we got this time together.
So am I.
Wow.
Guys, your volume's a little low, just so you know.
Volume's low. Okay. Well, I actually took the time to speak to her because this has been a different day in the Blue household. Um, we've never had this many people in our house probably in the last year at one time. And so Yolanda was busy cleaning and making preparation and making sure everyone was getting the love. Uh, and I was busy working on projects, but they were all family members. My youngest son drove in last night to spend a couple of days with us because his oldest sister's birthday was today.
His older sister.
Older sister.
Yeah.
Her birthday was today. And so she actually dropped in too. And she left us a gift, the grand puppy.
The grand dog. Yeah.
Yes, the grand dog.
She
So,
didn't come in the house at all. So there were only three of us in the house. And our youngest son is the one that
yeah.
masks and adheres and all that kind of stuff. So he's more like me.
Yeah. So with all this movement going on, I was like not used to that. And I'm used to quietness and stillness and but it was just great to see them because you
Always
guys are
good to
probably
see.
having some of the same adjustments in your life where you're not seeing your family members as often, where you can actually feel them and touch them. And for us to have them in our presence is always a joy. So didn't get to have much conversation with Yolanda today. So um,
You
glad
can
that you're here.
you can make it up to me
Yeah,
later.
yeah. I told her I would meet her at 7 o'clock,
Yes.
and 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 so here we are in this grand community of uh, teachers of God, not seekers. We're no longer seekers.
No.
Yeah, that's an old thought. We're not seekers. We have found we are that, and it always gives us great pleasure to be with you guys in any format that we can. And I'm here to tell you that if you are in connection with this foundation, I mean, it's like 24/7. There's something always going on. If not live, you have access to unbelievable content, unbelievable
Resources,
resources.
encouragement.
Yeah,
Uh,
you can always go to
yeah.
Facebook Live if you need a quick response. And so it's been a wonderful 2 years for us being associated with this group. And somehow, we just came along because um, you know, it was dropped into our space through the 40-day program. And that's how we made the connection, probably like some of you through the 40-day program.
Yes.
And so we got in it, and it was all about the party,
Yeah.
the awakening party, the enlightenment party, the awareness party keeps elevating,
The
keeps
I
the
amness
I am this
party.
party, the God is party. And so we are here to stay. You
Yes.
can't get rid of us.
Yes. Yes.
But we're just like you. We
Why
are.
don't you pray first?
We want me to pray?
Yeah, she said you're going to handle all of it. So
Okay.
she didn't pray us in. So you're going to do a little prayer
Okay.
right quick.
Okay. All right. Well, let's everybody take a deep cleansing breath. And let us just, if you want to, close your eyes, or you can keep your eyes open. And just notice what you are noticing. Notice the feelings, the sensations of the body mind. Notice the breath, the in breath and the out breath. Notice that something is aware that there's a object of experience that's happening right now among many of us in different places, in different spaces, different weather patterns. But the one thing that we all share is this moment of awareness, that we are aware of a presence, we are aware of a love, we are aware of a deep, abiding peace. And so we sit in this and we abide in this. And so it is.
And so it is.
So it is. Thank you, honey.
Yes. All right.
All right. Now, one thing that Cindy told us is that these by Thursday events, Live in Mastery, that they are not so formal, but it's all about just showing up and allowing whatever in this moment the Spirit would like to emerge among us. God knows He knows what needs to be said, what needs to be felt, what needs to be heard. And so we just set in the workbook lesson 46 that got our day started. If you were on with Bill this morning at 7:30.
I was not on with Bill this morning at 7:30, but I was doing workbook lesson 46 as part of preparation. So
Yes.
there's that unity and that oneness.
Yes. So if you remember, if you don't know, workbook lesson
46.
46 says that uh, that it is God is the strength in which we trust.
Mhm.
It is God's strength that we trust in, and not our own strength, because which one of us can predict what's going to happen in the next moment? Which one of us can really uh, be certain about a particular outcome? Which one of us can really guarantee that there's a certain thing is going to happen? None of us, if we be honest with ourselves. And so we don't trust in our own self, but we trust in the strength that is in us, which is the strength of God, our I amness, our awareness. That's where our trust is. That's where our strength is, because that's where all things exist, including us. That is the oneness that we talk about in this community all the time. And so in this moment, we just listen. Now we sent some directive to Cindy to say we wanted to kind of pull out a few nuggets out of the workbook lesson, what, 193?
193.
I think 193. And the reason we chose 193 is that there's a central theme in it. Well, there's a central theme in the course, and we're talking about the Course in Miracles. But there's a central theme in the course, uh, which is forgiveness, the greatest practice or tool that we have in time that can, as the course says, bring us to the gates of heaven. And that simple practice has been pretty much the theme of our life.
Yes. So we knew we've been married for 30 years, and we knew when we got together that our life story was going to be one of love and forgiveness. And that was just the circumstances and situations that we found ourselves in. And we knew that in order to get through that wholly, that we would need to learn to traverse that forgiveness and love. And so our marriage journey has been one of um, we wanted to experience deep love, and can't do that without forgiveness. So we knew that that was going to be what was going to be going on. It was a theme throughout um, our life with our children. So all of us, if we've had children, we hear, that's not fair. That's not fair. And so we told our children, so in this expression of life that we're going to be experiencing here, there will not be fairness. It's not fair. But oh, there goes what happened. Okay. But one of the things that we told our children, life is not fair, but one of the things that we guaranteed them, that in our home, they would always have love, all conditional forgiveness, and all conditional love and unconditional forgiveness, and non-judgment. That's what we told our children. So we had all these things that we did to practice forgiveness, and believe you me, our children made certain that we all had to practice that, which is okay.
Yes. And even with all the children out of the house.
It's three of them. He says all the children, like it's so many. We did have a lot of children because we were youth pastors. We come from a Christian background. And so I had all of the children I had newborns to 9-year-olds, and Oliver had the 10 through college. And we were had it set up so that the older children mentored the younger children. So between the two of us, we had all the children of the church. What that meant was we fed everybody. They were always at our house. That's what it meant.
Yeah. And so even with them out of the house, uh, we still on a daily basis. And if you're on a discovery journey like we are, and you are because you're here, then
We're on an awareness
the
journey.
awareness journey.
Yeah.
The lessons of forgiveness continue. They just
Yes.
continue every day. It's
Yes.
almost like, when are we going to graduate from practicing forgiveness? Well, I'm coming to the conclusion that as long as we are in these earth suits, these body minds, and living in a world of perception where we have the opportunity to interpret and hold wrong perceptions, then that is the tool and the practice that will deliver us
Yeah.
from uh, attacking ourselves and attacking others and not being joyous and happy. So,
But we will get to the point where we won't have to even have the practice of forgiveness, because we will get to the point that we stop doing the condemnation and the punishment. So we don't have to do that. But let's do the lesson. Let's read the
cool. Go
lesson.
ahead.
So I'm going to read lesson 193, and that's just in case anyone does not have it. And I'm going to be in the blue book. And in the blue book, well, I won't do the volume, but so lesson number 193. I also have the purple book. I like to compare and contrast, but I'll read, and then we're going to actually focus on two
You just want to lift two
of the points, but
ideas out of this.
we're gonna read. I'll start paragraph 1. God does not know of learning, yet his will extends to what he does not understand. in that he wills the happiness his son inherited of him to be undisturbed, eternal and forever gaining scope, eternally expanding in the joy of full creation, and eternally open and wholly limitless in him. That is his will. And thus his will provides the means to guarantee that it is
Can
done.
I stop you there?
You can.
Because we read over that really fast, but this is so important. It is saying here to us that it is the will, it is God's will, it is awareness will, it is presence will that our number one, that we be happy. And on top of that, that our happiness be undisturbed, undisturbed. That our happiness be eternal and forever gaining scope. That means that our happiness should be a continuous expanding
Yes.
of experiencing the happiness and the joy of being one with all things. It says happiness is expanding. Our happiness should be expanding in joy and in full creation.
It says eternally expanding.
Eternally expanding in
Eternally
joy
expanding.
and full creation.
In the joy of full creation. And eternally
And eternally open.
open.
Our happiness should be eternally open and wholly
Limitless.
limitless. Now that's a whole lot
Limitless in him,
in him.
which is source.
Yes.
So it's limitless in source.
Yes.
Okay.
When I was a kid, and I came from a family of 7 siblings, my parents would always take us once a year, once in the summer, take us to the Atlantic Ocean, to the Atlantic beach. And it was the trip of our life. It was a trip of, it was a trip that we look forward to every year. We were going to this huge, gigantic body of water, and we didn't have a whole lot. We made our little sandwiches and packed our little refreshments, and we would drive down to the beach, and we would all get in that big body of water. It was a huge body of water. You can imagine being 5 years old or 6 years old or 7 years old and going to the beach. You remember, you've had those experiences in this huge body of water. You can't drink it all.
Oh, no, no.
But we look forward to that trip every year. That was real happiness, as I can remember. I mean, it was no cares in the world. Here we were as a family, playing in the water, in the sand, just absolutely happiness, absolute happiness. And when I read through that this morning, that's what I thought of. I remember the undisturbed happiness that happened. That was my experience during that time. I remember, each experience gained it in scope. And I remember each year, I mean, it became even more joyous to be there and to have that type of experience, open and wholly unlimited. And so I didn't want her to just read over that part, which is not what we were trying to pull out of this lesson, but I think it's so important because a lot of time we as advanced learners and students and teachers, that's one of our disappointments, is that I should be having this sustained happiness in my life with all the enlightenment and advanced teaching I'm getting from all these great teachers and this great community and the fellowship that we have. But many times, sometimes we're not having that childlike, continuous joy and happiness. And we wonder, when is it going to happen for me? So part of what we're going to lift out of the lesson will give us an answer to that. So go ahead, Peg. Thank
So
you.
yes, I read over that because that was not the points that we were going to be, but good stuff in there. Okay, paragraph 2. God sees no contradictions, yet his son believes he sees them. Thus, He has a need for one who can correct his erring sight and give him vision that will lead him back to where perception ceases. God does not perceive at all, yet it is He who gives the means by which perception is made true and beautiful enough to let the light of heaven shine upon it. It is He who answers what His Son would contradict and keeps His sinlessness forever safe. These are the lessons God would have you learn.
Say that again.
These are the lessons God would have you learn.
Now, it appears that what's going to be shown to us after that statement is a multitude of different lessons that God would like for us to learn.
So don't get ahead of yourself.
So don't get ahead of myself.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
All right.
Okay.
Move forward.
These are the lessons. This is paragraph 3. These are the lessons God would have you learn. His will reflects them all, and they reflect His loving kindness to the Son He loves. Each lesson has a central thought, the same in all of them. The form alone is changed with different circumstances and events, with different characters and different themes, apparent but not real. They are the same in fundamental content. It is this: forgive, and you will see this differently. I'm going to read that one again. Forgive, and you will see this differently. Certain it is that all distress does not appear to be but unforgiveness.
Oh,
Yet, I know you want to stop. Yet, that is the content underneath the form. It is this sameness which makes learning sure, because the lesson is so simple that it cannot be rejected in the end. No one can hide forever from a truth so very obvious that it appears in countless forms and yet is recognized as easily in all of them if one but wants to see the simple lesson there. Forgive, and you will see this differently. I'm going to let you go back because I know you're
wow. Yes. Because this is so enriching for us again, because we focus on forgiveness. It's like the theme of our life. And there's a whole lot that was said here in paragraph 3 and 4. But what we wanted to lift out tonight and make everyone aware of is that though the lessons come in so many different forms, in different circumstances, in different events, different characters, different people, different themes, and they seem to be real. In other words, the objective experiences of our daily lives with different people, different events, different activities, they're all different in different forms, but there's one fundamental uh, uh, content that is within all of them.
Yes.
And
so the central
central
theme
theme, yeah.
in all of them. So that's all the different circumstances, the different events, the different characters, different themes, all this stuff that appears to be real. The one content, the number one theme is forgive,
and you will see this differently.
and you will see this differently.
And we know that in the Course in Miracles, when it talks about forgiveness, it says basically is a changing of perception, exchanging one perception for another, exchanging a wrong perception or based on separation for a perception that is based on oneness. And so it's but a change in perception. It's but a change in thought. It's but a change in awareness. It's but a change in the way we see things. The Course talks about Christ's vision, that one of the goals is for us to receive a vision of oneness, of sameness, of wholeness, that all things are one, that all created things are of God. It talks about in lessons 20 through 28, I am determined to see. So in the early part of the workbook, a lot of emphasis is on seeing. I am determined to see. Lesson 20, lesson 21, I am determined to see things differently. Why? That's because it's so important. Therein lies our peace. Therein lies our happiness. Therein lies our joy to see uh, and have our awareness uh, to be in alignment with truth, to be in alignment with who we really are as being one with all creation and the Creator. Lesson 27 says, above all else, I want to see. Lesson 28, above all else, I want to see things differently. So this is so important that I guess just almost like a reminder to all you advanced students and advanced teachers being in this community, because I know we've all heard this before. You've read it in your quiet time. You've read it in your private time. But we can stumble over this so important concept. Um, in any event, any situation, if you're in relationship with other human beings, you will get the opportunity to practice this.
Mhm.
You'll get the opportunity to say, I need to see this differently, because it happens to us all the time. I see something and I interpret it based on a separated self, and certain reactions come over me, like emotions. Y'all know what I'm talking about, feelings, or why, this is not happening the way I want it to happen. It's not what I had planned. So I get triggered. And if I am not aware of what's happening in that moment, then my response will not be, I need to see things differently here,
Mhm.
or I'm determined to see things differently. No, sometimes, for me and for all of us, we want it our way. And so that's when we um, have the experiences that we don't want to have, the feelings that we don't want to have,
Mhm.
and the results that we don't want to
Mhm.
have. And so these lessons serve as reminders of the importance of seeing through Christ's vision and seeing things differently. And the forgiveness aspect of it is really simple. It's so simple. It says that we just exchange this wrong perception that I'm having in this moment for a right perception. Is a perception of separation, with exchange that for a uh, perception of oneness
And unity.
and unity.
Yes,
Yes,
yes, yes,
because
yes.
that's what we want. We all want, and all that's part of our happiness. Okay.
And isn't it neat that we don't have to do a whole lot of things? It's just the one
No,
thing that we
just
need
do
to
one
do.
thing. Yeah.
There's just one thing that
Just
we
see
need
it differently. That's so simple. Just see it differently. Okay.
I'm going to keep reading then.
Yes.
So I'm going to go back to the beginning of paragraph 5. Forgive, and you will see this differently. These are the words the Holy Spirit speaks in all your tribulations, all your pain.
Can we back up?
Yes, let's back up.
Read the first sentence in paragraph 5.
Forgive, and you will see this differently.
Is that right? Maybe I'm wrong. Paragraph 4. Read the first sentence, paragraph
Okay.
4.
S-
Certain.
Certain it is that all distress does not appear to be but unforgiveness.
That's the other point we wanted to lift out of this lesson.
Yes.
All stress, all anxiety, all fear,
All pain,
all pain,
suffering.
all psychological suffering
Yeah.
comes out from but the one thing, and that is unforgiveness.
Unforgiveness.
It's at the root of it. Now, it may take different forms, many different forms, but at the root of all distress, all anxiety, all disappointment is that we're holding on to a perception of separation,
Mhm.
and it calls it unforgiveness.
Mhm.
And so that's so important because we, as body minds, we can come up with 1,000 justifications
Yes.
why it should be different and how it should be. And look completely over the fact that we're looking at this thing from a point of view of separation and not oneness. And that is the cause of all the effects that we are experiencing that's not making us happy. But when we come to ourselves and remember the course and remember workbook lesson 193, all things are lessons God would have me learn. We remember the one underlying idea in this lesson, and that is at the root of it is unforgiveness. Just cut to the chase.
Well, that's what it says.
That's what it says.
Paragraph 4, sentences 1 and 2. Certain it is that all distress does not appear to be but unforgiveness, yet that is the content underneath the form. So all distress does not appear to be but unforgiveness. That is underneath the form. That is the underlying
So,
cause.
so regardless of what the form looks like,
That's right.
you know, whether it's a disagreement or whether it's a different political view or whether it's a, you know, I have my favorite team and you have yours, or whether it's a child parent relationship, or whether it's a uh, a money
Business.
issue or a
Yeah.
business issue. What
It doesn't matter what it is.
what it's saying here is that at the core of that is a perception, is a wrong perception.
But the
Okay.
party is,
But the party is
the lesson is so simple.
the lesson is
The
simple
lesson is so simple.
because it is this, that third verse. What does it say? It is this sameness,
It's the sameness.
which makes what
Learning
sure.
sure.
So it's not a multitude of causes for our distress. It's only one cause. He said the sameness which makes learning sure, because the lesson is so simple that it cannot be rejected in the end.
Mhm.
Go ahead, babe.
No one can hide forever from a truth so very obvious that it appears in countless forms.
How many forms?
Countless forms. This obvious truth keeps appearing in so many forms, and yet is recognized as easily in all of them. If one but wants to see the simple lesson there, forgive, and you will see this differently.
Forgive, and you will see this differently.
These are the words the Holy Spirit speaks in all your tribulations, all your pain, all suffering, regardless of its form. These are the words with which temptation ends and guilt abandoned. Oh, this is a good one. Is revered no more. These are the words which in the dream of sin and rid the mind of fear. These are the words by which salvation comes to all the world.
Forgive, and you will see this differently. Boy, that's so simple, but to the world, it is not the answer. Just think, with all the crises, all the
You mean the crises?
crises,
Or the crises, that's fine
crises,
too.
with all the division and separation that we see being played out in this world, it's almost a shame that the world doesn't know that the answer is so simple.
Yes.
Forgive, and I will see this differently. Therein lies the truth.
Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna go.
We're gonna jump up. We're gonna jump over to 13.
We're gonna jump to 13
We're
and
gonna jump
conclude
to
the lesson,
13
and
to
then we're gonna
conclude
open
this so
up
that
for
we can-
everybody to
yeah.
share here. Okay.
So 13 says, "This is a lesson God would have you learn." Make certain that you read the other parts of this. I mean, it's all really good, but we're going to go to 13 now. paragraph 13. This is the lesson God would have you learn. There is a way to look on everything. Wow. There is a way to look on everything that lets it be to you another step to Him and to salvation of the world. To all that speaks of terror, answer thus: I will forgive, and this will disappear. I will forgive, and this will disappear. To every apprehension, every care, and every form of suffering, repeat these selfsame words, and then hold the key that opens heaven's gate and brings the love of God, the Father, the love of God the Father, down to earth at last, to raise it up to heaven. God will take this final step Himself. Do not deny the little steps He asks you to take to Him. Wow.
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 So that blessed us a few days back as we were reading through this lesson. And when Sandy reached out to us and said, hey, come and be my host, co-host, and share something, it hit us in such a blessed way that we wanted to share with this community tonight. So there you have it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. So what we want to do, Cindy, and I think because you always want to hear from everyone that wants to share, because everyone has something so important to say. So we want to just open it up at this time. Is that where we're going with this, Cindy?
And we recognize the course teaches us that the way for us to learn is to teach. So we should all get involved in this.
Yes.
Yep. So I do actually have a comment. And while I'm sharing, if anybody, when you want to share, if you could use your electronic hand raising, because we're a couple of pages here, so there's no guarantee that I'll see you.
Mhm.
But I'd love your comment, or Bill's or Lisa's or whatever, because, I was triggered by something today, and I'm a good student. And so I sat with it. It was interesting, and I just sat, but what I wanted to say, it took a while. Like I was triggered. I felt internal pain. And the key for me this morning was, what are Bill's words? I didn't touch it.
Right.
Didn't touch it, but I also, um, it didn't like immediately go away. I sat and rested and paused and sort of watched it in that, knowing that nobody can hurt me. It's my unforgiveness, right? So I wonder if you have a comment. A lot of, I work with a lot of people come to me and they get really upset when they don't see an immediate outer response to whatever's going on in the world.
Are you going to respond?
Or, oh, was that directed towards us?
Yes, sir.
Oh, no, you respond.
So what, okay. So I see people in two prisms. Um, we are expressing love or we are calling out for love. So when someone or something or some circumstance appears to be painful or disturbing or disappointing or whatever the dis-ease or the discomfort is, um, either the person is, generally that person is calling out for love, and we're just incredibly unskilled and messy and can be ugly in our calling out for love. This is what helps me not to be triggered, because I see my brother as needing, crying out for, calling out for love. So because I see him or her in that circumstance, I have the compassion and know that it is my function to share love with him. So I don't get triggered. Well, let me put it like this. It takes a whole lot. It takes a whole lot for me to get triggered. And one of those reasons is because, um, you know, what I would have for myself, what I have for my brother is what I would have for myself. So if, you know, and if I don't want someone lashing out, or I mean, you know, I've spent my whole life living that principle that's in sacred writing that says, "Do unto others as you would have them do unto you," and it just seemed like I was doing that, and I was always being the one that was hurt. But
You were the victim.
well, that was that whole victim mentality.
Yes.
However, you know, as I um, spent more time understanding that, um, that's my brother is just that he's just calling out for love, and he's unskilled at doing that. And so, you know, a lot of things have to do with, I mean, that, you know, people talk about perspectives. And really, you know, if it's a child, we don't have the same reaction. If a child did to us what we get triggered by, but then if an adult does it, we get triggered by it. But if a child does it, the same thing, we wouldn't be triggered by that. So I'd always ask the question, well, why? Why is it that I would have this reaction if an adult did it, but I would not have this reaction if it were a young child that did that? So that led me to know that it's neither the young child or the person. That lets me know that it's me. And the course teaches us that it's not anything that is without. It's everything that is within.
Yes.
So I ask myself the question, what lesson do I need to learn? And the answer always comes back to forgiveness. It always comes back to that. And so
Beautiful.
I see all of those things as an opportunity for me to practice forgiveness, especially when I know that this brings me one step closer. And it's the only one thing that I have to do.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm really inspired, Lisa. I'm wondering, is this your favorite lesson? You have to unmute.
It is my favorite lesson, and this is my favorite show ever. You two are crushing it. I am sitting here in so much gratitude and just so much appreciation. I've had my eyes closed for most of the time I've been on here tonight, and I'm just so loving the sound of your voice. Like and you too, Cindy. Like it's just I'm kind of staying in awareness of the resonance of the sound of and the love. And I just love the things that the both of you, Oliver and Yolanda, have shared. I love that it is coming back to forgiveness. Like I'd forgotten that line from that lesson, like that if there's anything going on other than joy and peace and love,
It's unforgivable.
forgive. And I will see this differently. It's all unforgiveness. And I think there can be a tendency to think, oh, I'm beyond forgiveness. But if there's that awareness of something that's upsetting or a grievance, it's like to have that as a quick remembering. And I love, Yolanda, finally, what you just shared is that thing of like there's only the extension of love or call for love.
Mhm.
And so abundant thanks for the both of you for being here. I'm just loving sitting here feel like I'm abiding in the presence of God right now.
Thank you, Lisa. That's how
So
we
there,
got through. That's how we got through the whole political thing. I mean, it was just so much. But then, when we um when we place everything um next to truth. So it doesn't matter what's going on. What we do is we always let it stand next to truth. Because you all know how much, well, Cindy, I've said this before, I love the preface. Okay. I love the preface. And so I was hooked on the Course in Miracles when I saw that little phrase that says nothing true can be threatened.
Nothing real.
Nothing real can be, well, for me, truth and real is the
It's synonymous,
interchangeable
yes.
for me. So nothing nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal
Exists.
even exists. Herein lies the peace of God. So I always, I stand everything next to truth. Because if it's not real, why am I going to put all of my energy into that which is not even real? Why would I do that? So I'm the questioner. I'm the one that's always asking questions. I always ask lots and lots of questions. But
Yeah.
that was really how we got through the whole crazy,
Mhm.
stuff that was all the stuff that was going
Yeah.
on.
And that's not a denial. I mean, we're in a body mind and in a world of activities. We're not denying the event in the land of experience,
Mhm.
but what we are doing is we're making a decision.
Yes.
We're making a concerted decision um, of seeing this through Christ's vision. Okay. And for what purpose? You know, what is the purpose for that?
So I
We
do have some, there are some questions, but I was
Sure, go
just
ahead.
curious. I was going to ask Bill if this is his favorite lesson too.
Oh yeah, let's hear.
Oh, Mr.
Or
Bill.
Bill, is there any comments on this teaching so far before we read Jennifer's question here?
Mm. Well, thank you. Thank you all for the teaching and the clarity around these two lessons. Lesson 47, today's workbook lesson, uh, and um, and this lesson. I don't really have a favorite lesson per se. I guess if the favorite line that I have in the course is forget this world, forget this course, and come with holy empty hands unto God. And I guess another favorite line, you mentioned it, is nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. This understanding
Mhm.
is the peace of God. This understanding and clarity and certainty is the established peace of God.
Yes.
God takes the final step when you awaken to the understanding of your identity
Mhm.
in what God is, speaking through this body mind, speaking through that voice with the vibration of God, using you as a vessel,
Mhm.
as a transmission in each of us. And so all things are lessons. This vibration, this frequency that wants to be known and seen will have me see all things from this place of presence, this place of wholeness. And when I see lines like forgive and you will see this differently, I just, for a few years now, I've been changing that word forgive to awareness. What is it if you took forgive and you just changed it for awareness, when you're resting in awareness as awareness, you will see this differently because awareness is the non-judgment zone.
Mhm.
And so if you're resting as awareness, you're actually living the incarnate experience of God taking the last step, of God seeing this as itself, arising within itself. And there's no, everything is included. Everything is welcome. There's no conditions of acceptance. Everything is accepted. There's no good or bad. It's a non-dual oneness that we speak about and from. And there's so forgiveness actually does have a place where you are forgiveness. So the thing that takes its place is the knowing of beingness.
Yourself, yeah.
And that's God taking the last step, because it looks on all things as itself.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Thank you,
Fabulous.
guys.
Yeah.
We have two questions. Jennifer is going to unmute now. She has a question in the chat that she's going to come and ask you guys directly. And then Dorina has her hand raised. And we have just about 10 minutes to do this in an hour. So Jennifer, you want to unmute? We should be able to hear you. Are you there? I saw you and now are you there? You're unmuted. Something's up with your mic. Let me read her question while we're trying to figure it out. I'm doing the 190 lessons this week. I understand that everything that happens is a lesson, but how do you seek to make changes in the world mostly related to equality while forgiving? I have family that have different views which negatively affect my family. So do I forgive and set up boundaries? I guess I just feel that I would be putting my head in the sand and allow situations to unfold. This is the area I struggle with.
Wow.
Wow, that's a great
Yeah, there you go.
question.
So is Jennifer's mic able to work? Because I'd like to ask her a question.
She unmuted, but we can't hear her. So we know and love Jennifer. She's not shy, but there
Okay.
must be something wrong.
Okay. So you want to address that one?
Sure.
She can type in the chat board though. Do you see her? Do you wave your hand, Jennifer? Yeah. So she can type it, the answer if you have a question for her in the chat board.
Did you have a question for her?
Well, I can't see her. Oh, there you go. Can you see her question? It's kind of long.
It was Jennifer?
Uh-huh, Jennifer. We did not have our chat on, so okay, right there. There it
Okay.
is. She's doing lesson 190 this week. How do you seek to make changes in the world mostly related to equality while forgiving?
Okay. That's a great question.
Yes. Oh, you should have left it up.
The Course says that we are not here to change the world, because in truth, the world does not exist.
Mhm.
But we're here to change our mind about the world. And so in changing our mind about the world, again, because the world you're talking about is the world of perception, the world of opposites, the world of separation, the world of where things are interpreted based on its forms, its history, its all the plethora of 10,000 things, like
10 million
10
things.
million things. It's like Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty back together again. So this world is symbolic of Humpty Dumpty.
Mhm.
And the reason Humpty Dumpty had a fall is because Humpty Dumpty has no foundation. It's egoic. It is not the truth. It has no light. That's why a lot of times in form, there are no answers to putting Humpty Dumpty back together again. However, what the Course does instruct us in, as we have accepted the atonement for ourselves, meaning that we have accepted the truth, and the truth is there is God and there is nothing else.
Mhm.
That's the truth. And all the objects of activity that we see, that we have experienced, that we hear about, those things exist because there's a part of the sonship that believe that all that is real.
Mhm.
And so, as an awakened, aware person in your own world, in your own life, with that truth and that awareness, you will know or be inspired in your own self whether when action is needed to be taken, when words are need to be spoken, when conversations might need to be had, or when just to be silent.
Yes.
So I said a lot there.
Because in all actuality, when okay, so I'll give it to you in an example like this. So we all have dynamics that happen, and she specifically mentioned her family. We all have dynamics that happen in our family, and but the only person that I actually can determine that's going to do something is me. You know, as much as Oliver loves me, and I know he loves me, I can't make Oliver do anything. The only person that I have influence on is me. So this is what I did. There is this theme that had been happening year after year with my sisters.
With your family.
With my sisters. Okay. I have 3 sisters. I'm two of four girls. And I just got to the point where, I said enough. Now, what I what I have decided for myself as how I'm going to show up in the world is I'm not going to be showing out and giving people a piece of my mind, and I'm not doing all that. So what I said to we had this event that was coming up, and I know my sisters, and this is not me judging them. This is just what they insist on doing. But I said to Oliver, I said, I'm having a different experience. I'm not doing that anymore. I am having a different experience. So the onus and the word, everything is on me. I am having a different experience. So it didn't matter what they did. It didn't matter. I decided I'm having a different experience. And because I decided that, and I did not move when they started, there's the one that always blames me. I don't care. I could be in a different country, but I'm blamed. I'm like, didn't matter. I decided I was not going to be moved by any of that. By the time that we got to the end of the project that we had to do, this is all before COVID, all of them were different. I didn't say one word to any of them. I only told Oliver, I am having a different experience. I decided I was changing my perspective. I was going to change that. And so I ended up having an effect on them, but I did not say a single word to them.
Right.
So what happens is when I accept the atonement for myself, I actually am accepting it for everyone else. And the reason that I can do that is because I'm not doing any harm to anyone else. Do you understand what I'm saying? I mean, it would be different if I'm doing something that's going to cause someone else, some pain or something like that. So I don't know that it's ever, good to just, have, Oliver said, you'll know when there's time to say something. But, with our family, most of the time we don't need to say anything because it's only going to create more of
Yeah, but
the same thing.
But I can say this for Jennifer. I think you mentioned, some of the
She asked
dark
about setting
places about
boundaries too.
boundaries, about inequality practices that that are not right. What you can do is make the commitment yourself
Yes.
to be the light and the
Yes.
example, where those areas that they trigger you in. You make sure that you be the, what's that, the thing you want to be. You be it, right? But
Yes.
you
Yes.
be it. You
You
just
be the change that you
you
want.
be the change
Yeah.
that you want to see in the world.
Yes.
And so in your world, you are just expressing light and love.
Yes.
And in that way, you're having the greatest influence versus getting down in the sandbox
And throwing
and
sand
throwing
in the
sand.
faces of,
And as an enlightened one,
yeah,
you will be hurt more than they would be.
It
So,
because they don't
is,
know any better.
so I hope that
Yeah.
helps.
it's 8:01, but Dorina's been sitting here with their hand up. So anyone that has to go at the end of the hour, I love that we're all here. And that said, I Dorina, go ahead and lower your unmute and let's hear from you.
Hey, hi, this is wonderful. So this is going to sound like really trivial, but as I was sitting here listening, my little example that I'm asking for input on is really a microcosm of what goes on in my life all the time. So all I was doing is trying to order a dehumidifier on Amazon that somebody else suggested this particular one. And then I start getting all these other ideas. Maybe there's something with a special mold filter. And then I'm, you know, then I stumble across another one. And all the while I'm getting more agitated and more fearful and feel like I'm imposing on the friend that's helping me. And I'm in all this judgment and I guess you would call it unforgiveness, but I'm doing it all to myself and not understanding why things aren't clear. And I got the text, I got the link via text, and I can't work very well with my phone, so I had to email. I just so I was searching for what he sent me and how, what kind of feedback, because this is like a silly example probably, but once I sat down and I started listening to this class, I was like, oh my God, my brain is like relaxing. It, what kind of, how do I not do that to myself?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, I got an answer on two levels.
Yeah.
Um, the first one is on the body mind level, and that is you was experiencing user error.
Okay.
And we all experience user error. We get frustrated
Yeah.
because this
Yeah.
thing's not working. And I know
Right.
I'm put the right end and but it's not working. But that's user error.
Yeah.
And then on the level of reality, you said you were trying to order on Amazon.
Yeah.
That was your classroom today.
Yeah.
Amazon was your classroom today. You making that order was your classroom today.
Yeah.
There was something that you need to see about yourself that is a block to the awareness of love's presence.
Mm.
So as small and minute as it seemed to be, but creating this gigantic annoyance in you, it is the small and minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
And the
it is the
person
small things, right?
But
yeah,
she
the
also
person that was helping me, I was feeling like, oh, I'm gonna have a bad relationship with him now because I'm asking him too many questions, and I had this whole thing going on.
Right.
But you
I'm gonna
said a lot
create
of
it.
things, and you've actually answered your own question.
Yeah.
You said, and then I had this fear that this was not going to work, and I was going to create an issue with the person that was helping me.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that you said, the other thing that stood out was you said, this happens to me all the time. So you're expecting this to happen. You are expecting it, and because you're expecting it, that's exactly what happens. You're having exactly the experience that you want to have because you're expecting that to happen. If you expect differently, you get differently. But
Yeah.
let me help you on a practical level. Okay, please allow me to help you on a practical level. So we have these now adult children. Okay, these are our adult peers now, and they handle this whole technology thing entirely differently than we do. They're not afraid. They're on there, they're touching, and me, I've got mine, and I'm always praying. Oh, please, 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 don't, I don't want to lose. No, 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 no. I'm begging and screaming. Well, and so my youngest one says to me, he says, Mom, he said, if you touch that and it goes away, he said, there's a back arrow. Hit the back error. It'll come back. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, and whenever something's not working, Oliver's like, this is not working. This is not. Our oldest son always says, he sends it in big letters, user error. It's not the thing that's the problem. The problem is his fear that he's not going to get it right. And here is the thing. It's okay if you don't get it right. So now what we do, our youngest one told us this. He says, did you Google? Because you can Google and find out. Now we're not talking about massive, we're not talking, but we're talking about just things.
Simple thing.
You can Google and YouTube. I mean, they'll give you a YouTube video or something that'll show you exactly.
Step by step.
So I don't call our adult children anymore. Like we were calling them all the time. I do exactly what he said. I am the good student. So I Google, I do my research, I see. And then if something indeed I cannot work it out, I call the most patient one. I call the patient one and I'll say, hey, I did this, and something I'm still not making. There's something that I'm missing, and so, and generally it's something really, really small. But I no longer get the, oh no, shoulders up, tense. Oh no. I no longer do that anymore. I don't do that. I don't do it because I know that if I lose it, I can get it back.
Yeah.
I can get it.
Yeah. I probably should have started this with, and I'm just making the link now, that I had a conversation with an immediate family member yesterday, and it's got me in a little bit of a negative spiral. As much as I'm trying to not think about it, I played it out today with Amazon and the carpenter helping me,
Yeah.
So,
Well,
let's address the negative issue that you had that caused you to spiral. Okay. Because there are things that you can do that can change your whole perception, and you don't even have to involve the other person. Okay.
Okay.
So, because was that the experience that you wanted to have, where you had this negative experience and you had that spiral with the person? Was that what you wanted to have happen?
No.
No. Okay. So what did you want to, and you don't have to tell us, what did you want to have happen? Okay. So you replay that in your mind. You replay what you wanted to have happen. And then guess what you can do? You get to forgive yourself for not handling that the way that you wanted to handle it.
I'm sorry. Didn't mean to mislead you. I handled it fine.
Yeah.
I can't change my father,
And that is absolutely
but I was fine. It still made me sad, but I was fine.
That is absolutely fine. It's just like I said, as much as I know that Oliver loves me, and I know he does, I still can't make him do anything. The only person that I can effectively address is me. So I do everything that I can do in me. So if Oliver and I happen to have, well, we're not going to have words and not get them resolved. Oliver likes to step away. I like to converse, but when he's not ready to converse, then I can stop and go ahead and go through this process for myself.
I'm sorry. Do you want a little bit of information? Basically, I'm in a situation where my father doesn't have much contact with me, and there's a family member that's kind of affected, I think, added to his brain. And really, I don't think my father liked me. So it's very, but he liked me fine when she wasn't around and he needed me, maybe, So it's been weeks since, and I finally called him, and it always ends very flatly.
But you can go back to the lesson that we taught today, and it tells you very simply, at the root of all distress,
doesn't matter who the names are.
Right.
Doesn't matter that it's father and another family member. It doesn't matter who the names are.
It
doesn't matter what the relationship is.
At the root of it, there's a holding of a misperception of separation. And like the Course tells us, we're never upset for the reason that we think
we are.
Because what it's saying is the upset or the distress is coming from a misperception or a
This is,
belief in separation.
Yeah.
So, all right.
this has been gorgeous, and our time is up.
Yeah.
And what I'd love if you guys could pray us out, and then I'll unmute everybody and we could share our love for a minute. Would that be okay?
That'll be wonderful. That would be wonderful. Well, first of all, thank you, Cindy and Bill and Lisa, for creating this space for all of us. And we're extremely happy because we got to share in a, I guess you might say, a special way, and we're grateful for that. Thank you so much. So we take a deep breath again. And when we exhale, we release everything that is not in alignment with the one thing called love. We are happy and grateful to be in this space, in this place, with all these mighty companions. We are so happy and grateful that we have learned, that we have been inspired, we've been made aware of, to teach only love. And so we have an awareness now to walk in the light, because we are the light of the world. And so it is.
And so it is.
Thank you.
And so it is.
Thank you.
Thank
Much
you.
love.
Awesome.
So grateful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Ah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
So good to see everyone.
thank you.
you.
Thank you guys for
Thank
being
you.
with
Thank
us.
you